We are back here on SportsLine on News Channel 5 Plus. Time to talk some Titans football with our good friend John Glennon of the Tennessean. Johnny, good evening. Thanks for being on, man.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, well, tough loss for the Steelers Monday night, 27-24 to the or tough loss for the Titans, I should say, 27-24 to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. The good news is, I guess, John, that the team, let's face it, didn't embarrass themselves in front of the eyes of the football world on national TV. Could have won the game, probably should have won the game. The bad news is the run defense, which has been terrible all season, was really, really bad, giving up 204 yards to Le'Veon Bell and the black and gold.
Yeah, it seems like forever that, the Titans have been saying we've got to find a way to stop the run, It's been one coaching staff after another, one system after another, and the problem still isn't solved. Le'Veon Bell, the Steelers got the ball with 7 minutes left in the lead and never gave it up, and the guy finished with an average of 6 yards per carry. So one way or another, I do think this scheme, I do think Ray Horton is eventually going to get this scheme to work because he's done it before, but clearly there's going to be a need to change some personnel because this scheme, or this current group is not getting it done in terms of stopping that run.
Is it that simple, John, just in terms of personnel? Or, you always talk to players afterwards and they say, oh, we just weren't in the right gaps. Well, why? Why weren't you in the right gaps? Are you not good enough to be in the right gap? Or is the scheme not allow you to get in the right gap? That's the head scratcher for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think to me, if you look at Ray Horton's track record, I do think it is a pretty good one. In terms of being able to come into places and lift up defenses and move them in the right direction. He's done that in a couple spots, so I still think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt and give this scheme the benefit of the doubt. And realistically, there are a lot of players out there still that that are more used to the 4-3. And that have been kind of, shifted into a 3-4 just because that's what they're playing now. So I do think that, maybe with a couple more changes, I think it'll move in the right direction eventually. But, it is still a head scratcher. I think it should be better than it is right now.
One of the good things we did see from the defense, John, was 5 sacks on Ben Roethlisberger, most of those coming from the linebackers. It's been a while since we've seen the linebackers get pressure on a quarterback this season. Hasn't really happened much. How encouraging of a sign should that be for Titans fans going forward?
Yeah, I think that is very good, and to me, the last 2 games against Pittsburgh and Baltimore, Ray Horton has pretty much said, before the Baltimore game that they were going to shift up strategies, that they were going to do a lot more blitzing than they have in the past. And he's been true to his word the last couple games. They have done a ton of blitzing, not only on passes but on run plays as well. But yeah, they've been pressuring the passer pretty well. It's kind of unusual that the Titans still aren't getting a ton of pressure from the outside, from the ends, and from their outside linebackers. But I guess the bottom line is, as long as you're getting sacks, maybe it doesn't necessarily matter who's getting them, and they've been getting a lot from defensive backs and from the inside backers as well. So that is encouraging.
Talking Titans with John Glennon of the Tennessean. Zach Mettenberger had that early pick 6, but I thought he did a really nice job of shaking that off. Made some big plays, obviously the 80-yarder to Nate Washington. That was a huge play. Couldn't really get anything going to sustain drives in the second half, but overall, I thought pretty much a breakout performance for Mettenberger. What did you think?
I agree, and especially, like you said, after that first interception. We're talking about a rookie in his 3rd start, very first play of a Monday night football game, and he throws a pick 6. That's got opportunity to just destroy a guy, and for him not only to bounce back and play decently, but I thought play very well. To me, says a lot about Mettenberger. And that performance, I did think, was certainly his best and has to be encouraging. And I think it says something about the coaching staff, too, their trust in Mettenberger. You mentioned that 80-yard pass to Nate Washington. I was certainly of the belief that the Titans were just going to take a knee there and not risk any further damage deep in their own territory right before the half. But for them to say, hey, let's go for it. Let's let Zach, make a long pass, take a chance. I think that says a lot. About their trust in Zach Mettenberger.
We're talking with John Glennon of the Tennessean. Now, John, of course, you're around the facilities there with the Titans a lot. Do you get any kind of sense of what the organization feels about Mettenberger going forward? Are they starting to become more convinced that he is their guy? Do they feel like their franchise quarterback is already on the roster?
I think, there's a start to that feel, but, it's still very early, and that's why I think they probably made a pretty wise move in going to Mettenberger early, going to him in the eighth game. Realistically, at that point, the Titans were 2-5 already, and realistically, there wasn't going to be a playoff team, so why not get as long a look as possible at Mettenberger? I think they've done a good job in that regard. Allows him to take a few lumps, as he did in the first games, and you get a large body of work to kind of grade him on. And I think if he does make steady improvement, I think there is still a good chance he can be the guy for the future. When you compare to him or what he has done to what some of the other rookie quarterbacks have done so far, I think he comes out ahead in a lot of categories. So it'll be interesting to see. Of course, the bottom line is can he get the team some wins, and that hasn't happened yet. But we'll see if that happens in the last few weeks of the season.
On the other side of the ball, John, another rookie making waves for the Tennessee Titans is linebacker Avery Williamson. Seems like I talk about this guy every week, but this guy seems to get better and better every week. Had 2.5 sacks the other night. And anytime you can take down Ben Roethlisberger one-on-one by yourself, you got some ability.
Yeah, agreed. And another guy who just has made a very big impact since he's gone into the starting lineup. I think that happened around week 4 or week 5, and since then he's been the leading tackler on the team, which obviously says a lot considering he's a rookie. When he was first drafted, you got the sense he was more of a plug the middle kind of guy, make the tackles, but not maybe an especially dynamic guy. I don't think they expected necessarily to have a blitzing linebacker like this, a guy who is going to have 3-4 sacks already from an inside linebacker position. But to get that and to get the all-around package they have right now is very good. And to boot on top of that, I think he does have some pretty good leadership characteristics. So we're starting to see some guys on both sides of the ball in this rookie class. When you talk about Williamson, Lewan, Mettenberger, guys that are not only talented but perhaps leaders for the future as well.
Well, looking ahead to this week, the Titans head to Philadelphia to play an Eagles team that is going to be in a really bad mood after getting undressed by Aaron Rodgers and the Packers last week in Green Bay. Shady McCoy's got to be licking his chops after seeing what Le'Veon Bell did against that run defense.
Yeah, I would agree. And Le'Veon Bell was as we talked about earlier, just kind of the latest in the succession of runners to have success. It's the 5th time running back has gone over 100 yards this season in 10 games against the Titans. And the thing about the Eagles, of course, is they can really put it on you if you don't find a way to stop them early. They're averaging about 30 points a game. They've got threats through the air, and they've got McCoy on the ground too. So it's got the potential, you say, if the Titans can't stop the run and at least make the Eagles one-dimensional, it's got the potential to be a long day on the defensive side of the ball for the Titans.
Delanie Walker able to do some practice today. It seems like signs would be pointing towards his availability this week. I know he has to meet with the concussion doctor one more time tomorrow. What kind of boost do you think Delanie Walker could give this team this week? Because I really feel like if he'd have played Monday, the Titans very possibly would have won that game.
Yeah, certainly a possibility. I think Chase Coffin came in and did some good things, made that nice touchdown catch. But yeah, there's certainly no comparison between Delanie and Chase in terms of experience and talent and blocking ability too. That's the kind of thing that we tend to forget about Delanie a little bit because he's been catching so many passes, but he's a pretty good blocker as well. So a huge part of the offense, and I do think signs are pointing toward him being able to play again. He was a full participant in practice today, and I think once you get to that stage, I think there's a lot of confidence not only from the player but from the team that the test is almost a foregone conclusion at that point. So that would be a very significant boost, especially considering the fact that the Titans are without their 2 and 3 tight ends for the rest of the season, Craig Stevens and Taylor Thompson.
Also, John, Bleedy Ray Wilson limited at practice today, from what we understand. He was having a really solid game Monday night until he went out with that back injury. Any early indications on what his availability might be this week?
Yeah, I think it's going to be sort of touch and go for Bleedy Ray Wilson. I think it's one of those things that might bother him for the rest of the year. It's a back problem, and he said what happened in the Monday night game was it kind of locked up on him, and anybody who's ever had back problems knows that's a real issue, because it does tend to come back from time to time whenever you move the wrong way or do the wrong thing. So, I think it's kind of going to be something that the Titans are going to have to monitor during the week. But you're right. I think in general, not only Monday night, but some of the last few games, Bleedy has been playing better. He got off to such a rough start with all the penalties and got beat for a number of passes. But I really do think there is still some potential in Bleedy Ray Wilson, and I think he's been playing better overall for the past few weeks. So I think there's some encouraging signs for the future for him.
All right, Titans get set to head to Philly to take on the Eagles. Going to be a physical game, a lot of fleshy cargo flying around in the city of brotherly love. John Glennon of the Tennessean, thanks so much for being on SportsLine tonight.
All right, thanks for having me, Johnny.
All right. John Glennon of the Tennessean joining us here on SportsLine, talking a little Titans. We're going to take another break. If you're on hold, stay with us. Stay on the line. Want to hear from you next. We're talking Vols, Vandy, Titans, you name it. We're back after this.